Long before the stars returned, something ancient fell from the sky, silent, glowing, and meant for her. Sit down and watch as we dive into this precious story of hope and belief. In the heart of the dusty village of Elanda, where the sky was often smudged with ash and hope came only with the rainy season, there lived a girl no one claimed. Her name was Mala, though the villagers more often called her Ash Child, because she was always seen gathering firewood near the burned-out fields or sweeping cold hearths for a handful of maize. Mala's parents had vanished when she was a baby. Some said in a storm, others in a fire. None knew for sure, and none cared enough to remember. She belonged to no family, no home, and no one's future. By the end of the week, the sprout had become a sapling. Its bark shimmered faintly at night, and tiny buds dotted its branches, glowing with an inner light, like fireflies at rest. Mala tended to it every day, bringing water from the stream, brushing away debris, singing lullabies when the wind howled too fiercely. The tree responded as if it could feel her love. One evening, she noticed a strange thing. A villager, old Tamari, had wandered near the hill. He paused, squinting up at the glowing sapling before shaking his head and hurrying away. Mala's heart leapt with worry. If the elders discovered the tree, would they uproot it, claim it for themselves, or worse, burn it, fearing magic? She vowed to protect it with everything she had. The tree bloomed on the 7th night. Small silver flowers opened under the moonlight, their scent like distant rain. Mala gasped in wonder as they lit up the entire hilltop. It was as though the stars themselves had come down to sleep in the branches. One petal floated down and landed on Mala's hand. It didn't wilt or fade. Instead, it dissolved into her skin with a soft warmth that made her shiver. She felt clearer, as if she could hear the world breathe. That same night, rain returned to Elanda. The villagers awoke to the sound of thunder and a sky heavy with clouds. Children danced in the puddles, and elders offered songs of thanks to long-forgotten gods. The fields soaked up every drop like thirsty mouths. Crops that had refused to grow for seasons now stretched their roots toward the blessing. No one knew why the rain had come, but Mala did. She watched the tree from the hilltop, its silver blooms swaying, glowing faintly in the storm. Her tree, her gift, her secret. Late one night, as Mala sat by the tree, a figure approached. Cloaked in dark cloth and shadow, the stranger made no sound. Mala stood defensively, hiding the tree behind her small frame. "I felt the sky shift," the figure said softly. "It led me here." The voice was not threatening, gentle and wise, like wind through old branches. The figure removed her hood. She was a woman with eyes like the night sky and hair braided with stardust. "You've planted a star seed," the woman whispered. "Do you know what that means?" The woman introduced herself as Amara, a star watcher from the far desert. She explained that star seeds were rare gifts, fallen fragments of ancient celestial trees that once connected the heavens to the earth. Only one who truly understood loneliness and longing could awaken one. Mala listened, stunned, as Amara knelt and touched the glowing bark. "This tree will change more than your village. It will change the world," she said. "But it must be protected." "From what?" Mala wanted to ask, but something in Amara's eyes silenced her. Amara warned of those who hunted magic, not to worship or protect it, but to use it. "When they hear the rain has returned to this land," she said, "they will come looking." She gave Mala a charm, a pendant shaped like a crescent moon. "If danger comes, This will glow. Trust the tree. It will guide you. Mala nodded, her mind spinning. She was just an orphan. How could she protect something so great? Amara touched her shoulder. You are more than they know. In the weeks that followed, the tree bore fruit. Small orbs of light that looked like stars plucked from the sky. Mala tasted one and felt warmth spread through her body like honey and fire. When she gave one to an old widow with aching joints, the woman walked without her cane. When a baby with fever tasted a slice, his cries stopped, and he slept peacefully for the first time in days. Mala didn't tell anyone the fruit came from her tree. She only whispered, "A gift from the stars." The tree began to hum. Not always, just when the wind passed through its silver leaves. But Mala could understand the sound now. It was speaking to her, not in words, but in feelings, dreams, impressions. It told her when someone was approaching. It warned her of storms. It soothed her fears. In its presence, she never felt alone. She began to sleep beneath it, wrapped in its roots, like arms. One morning, a trader arrived in Elanda from the east. He brought strange coins and strange questions. Where did this rain come from? He asked the elders. Why does the grain grow so well here now? Mala overheard him speaking to others, his eyes always drifting toward the hills. That night, the pendant around her neck began to glow. Mala climbed the hill and sat beneath the tree, heart pounding. She had a choice: hide forever or trust someone. She waited until dawn, then walked to the hut of the village's oldest woman, Nia Duma. She handed her a fruit and said quietly, "It came from the hill." Nia Duma bit into it, and tears filled her eyes. "You planted the stars," she whispered, "just like the stories." Mala nodded. "Will you help me protect it?" And Nia Duma answered, "Until my last breath." Nia Duma, once dismissed as a mumbling old woman, gathered 3 others she trusted. They met beneath the baobab under cover of night. Mala, Nia Duma, a quiet hunter named Phalo, and Marie, a weaver with a sharp mind and a sharper tongue. Together, they formed a secret circle to protect the tree. They called themselves the Circle of the Star Tree. Nia Duma taught Mala the old chants, and Phalo taught her to read tracks. Mari offered hiding places if danger came too near. "You're not alone anymore," Nia Duma said. "This tree is ours to guard." The trader returned, not alone, but with a man in a black robe who rode a gray horse, with eyes too clever for a beast. His name was Gyros, and he did not trade. He questioned. He asked about the rain, the crops, the laughter that had returned to Elanda. He smiled, but it did not reach his eyes. Mala saw him speak quietly with the village chief, then looked toward the hill. That night, her pendant glowed brighter than ever. Mala and the circle wrapped the tree in protective cloths during the day and disguised the hill with charred leaves. They harvested the glowing fruit at night and buried them in clay jars deep beneath the soil. Still, Gyros came closer each day, walking the paths at twilight, peering at the earth like it owed him answers. Mala began to hear fear in the tree's hum. It vibrated faster, deeper. Something was coming. One evening, Gyros approached Mala directly. "You were seen wandering near the hills," he said. "Tell me, child, have you seen anything unusual?" Mala's voice was steady. "Just stars in the sky." He studied her, then smiled. "Of course, but sometimes the stars fall." She turned away without answering, and his silence behind her was more chilling than any words. Amaara returned at dusk, her cloak wet from crossing distant rivers. She came not alone, but with two others, star walkers from different lands. They had sensed the tree's bloom, felt its call. It is awakening, Amaara said. It wants to grow. But to do so, it must root somewhere no eye can find it. So, with the help of the circle, they dug up the tree under starlight. Its roots hummed like thunder, reluctant, but trusting. They moved it to a secret grove in the hills, where sunlight never quite touched and shadows whispered promises. The tree, though safe, began to weaken. Its blooms dimmed, and the fruit lost their glow. Mala knelt beside it daily, tears soaking the soil. "What's wrong?" she asked. "What are you missing?" Amaara placed her hands on the bark. "It needs more than love. It needs to be shared." The tree, a gift of the stars, had not been meant for one. Its strength came from stories, from belief, from connection. "Then let's begin," Mala whispered. Mala started telling the story to others, children first. Around cooking fires, she wove tales of the sky tree, of seeds that healed, of light that lived in the ground. She never claimed to be the one who planted it. She made herself a character, a girl like any other. But word spread quickly. The story rekindled hope in hearts long dried by hardship. And slowly, softly, the tree brightened. Gyros did not believe in stories. He believed in power. When he heard the children talking, he followed the laughter. When he saw the villagers whispering near the grove, he tracked their feet in the dust. One night, he stood before the hidden grove with 10 armored men. "I smell magic," he said, voice sharp as bone. "Burn it." The circle gathered quickly, defending the grove with everything they had. Words, warnings, even Mari's pot of boiling dye. But the guards pushed forward. Just as flames kissed the bark of the star tree, it pulsed with light. A sudden wind knocked every torch away. The men stumbled, blinded. From the tree's branches fell not fruit, but stars. Burning, swirling, dancing stars that pushed the invaders back. Mala stood in awe. The tree was protecting them. One of the fallen stars struck the earth and bloomed instantly into a new tree, smaller but bright. Everyone gasped. Amaara whispered, "It has begun." The tree would not just live, it would multiply. Mala touched the trunk, feeling its pulse like a heart. She knew then that her journey had changed. She was not just the orphan who planted a star. She was now the guardian of the star grove. The sapling that bloomed from the first starfall stood beside the original tree like a younger sibling. Within days, its leaves shimmered, and a soft golden hue radiated from its stem. The villagers, once skeptical, came forward to witness the miracle. Children touched its bark and laughed with wonder. The elders wept in reverence. Amaara spoke quietly to Mala beneath the twin trees. "This land will become a constellation of its own. Each tree is a point of light, connected by those who believe." Mala nodded. Her path was no longer hidden. It was beginning to shine. The tree bore new fruit, different this time. They weren't glowing, floating orbs, but firm, golden seeds, each etched with delicate star patterns. Amaara explained that these were meant to be planted in other places, farther than the eye could see. Mala gave one to Nia Duma, who buried it in the soil behind her hut. Another went to Phelo, who promised to plant it deep in the forest. And then Mala took one for herself. "This one," she said, "is for the mountain people." The trees would grow where they were most needed. While peace bloomed in Ilanda, trouble grew in the north. Word of the miracle trees reached warlords and shadow kings who coveted such power. They called it a tree of healing, a tree of domination, a weapon. One sent a band of fire riders, men with torches and hate, to find the girl and the grove. They called themselves the Ash. Their leader, a scarred man named Quran, had burned villages for less. The night before the Ash arrived, Mala awoke with a pain in her chest. The trees were silent. Their hum had vanished, and the pendant lay cold on her neck. She ran to the grove and placed her hand on the bark. "Why are you quiet?" she whispered. "What's wrong?" Amara appeared from the shadows. "They are hiding. A storm is near." Mala looked toward the horizon, where dark smoke bloomed like a second sky. Mala, the circle, and the villagers worked through the night. They wrapped the young saplings in soil-filled pots and smuggled them to hidden locations. One was buried in the schoolyard, another inside a hollow drum. The elders opened sacred caves, long forgotten, places once used to protect ancient scrolls and idols. Mala stood on the hill, holding the first tree's seed in her palm. "If they come for the light, we'll bury it in darkness until we rise again." Quran and the Ash rode in by noon. Their arrival was smoke and thunder. They demanded the Star Witch be handed over, or the entire village would burn. The chief, who once scorned Mala, stood beside her now. "You will not find her alone," he said. "We are all guardians now." The Ash rode forward. And then, just as the fire began to touch the rooftops, a sound rose. The tree's hum had returned, and it was furious. From the grove, blinding beams of starlight erupted. Roots burst from the ground like snakes, coiling around riders and snapping their torches. The fire seemed to retreat, swallowing itself. Mala raised her pendant and cried, "This village is protected." The pendant cracked in her hand, releasing a wave of light that drove the Ash back, screaming. When the light faded, Quran was gone, and the village was safe. But the tree stood weakened, its leaves dull. The original tree entered dormancy. Its glow faded, and its branches drooped. Amara explained that it had used all its energy to protect the village. "It is not dead," she said, "only dreaming, like stars before they burst into life again." Mala placed her forehead to the trunk. "Sleep well. I will watch over the others." She turned to the villagers. "Now we must plant more." The remaining golden seeds were gathered and wrapped in leaves and woven satchels. Carriers were chosen, brave ones, runners, traders, musicians, and wanderers who could travel unseen and speak in song or silence. Each one took a seed and a story. "Plant these in places of sorrow," Mala told them, "and tell the tale, not of a girl or a village, but of the stars that returned." With tearful eyes and determined hearts, the carriers left in different directions, like sparks leaping from a flame. Months passed, and word began to return. A tree blooming beside a well in the eastern deserts, another taking root in the swamp villages of the south. A sick chief touched a glowing trunk and woke, laughing. A child fed from its fruit grew strong after years of illness. Mala traveled now, her name whispered with reverence, but she remained humble. "I only planted one," she'd say. "The rest was never mine to control." She often returned to the first grove, where the sleeping tree still stood, and waited for the day it would wake. In one small village, a girl with hair like hers sang to a young sapling. Mala wept with quiet joy. Stories about Mala had grown larger than life. Some said she had been born from a star. Others believed she never aged. One tale claimed she turned into a tree herself. None were true, but none were entirely wrong either. Mala had changed, grown deeper, quieter, more connected to the earth. When she walked, leaves turned toward her. Birds sang in harmony above her path. She was no longer just the orphan of Ilanda. She was part of the world's rhythm now. One autumn night, the original tree whispered again, not just in dreams or feeling, but in words. "Mala," it said, "you are ready." "Ready for what?" she asked. "To return." The ground beneath her feet glowed. The stars above pulsed brighter. She felt a call, deep and old, pulling her not away, but deeper into everything she had sown. She called the circle, those who still lived, Nia Duma, now frail but fierce, Phalo, Mari, and Amaara. "I must go," she told them, "but the trees will remain, and so will their light." They understood, though their eyes filled with tears. The world she had awakened would continue to bloom. Others would become guardians. Before leaving, she gifted each of them a final seed, the last from the original tree. They would know when to plant them. At midnight, Mala stood beneath the tree. Its trunk opened, not like bark splitting, but like the sky parting. A tunnel of light spiraled upward, and beneath her feet, the earth glowed with constellations. She looked back once at Ilanda, at the village that had once called her the Ash Child. Then she stepped forward into the starwell, arms open, unafraid. She vanished in a shimmer of gold. The next morning, the original tree bore no leaves. Only one blossom remained, silver and glowing, and in its heart, a single seed. No one touched it. The villagers tended the tree gently, whispering to it, telling stories beneath it, letting the wind carry their gratitude upward. The light of the starwell remained, flickering gently between the branches, as if waiting for someone else to follow. A new child arrived in Ilanda one season, carried in a basket left near the grove. No one knew from where. She had bright eyes and curls like coiled rivers. When she touched the tree, it hummed. The villagers named her Zola, which meant quiet light, and the world whispered, "It begins again." Long after Mala's departure, scholars and storytellers recorded the rise of the star trees. Maps were drawn, showing their spread. Elders taught children the songs of growth and protection. In every village, there was someone who watched the roots. In every child's lullaby, the stars were no longer distant. They were family. And every seed planted was planted in her name. One night, a traveler stood atop the tallest hill and looked out across the land. Hundreds of glowing trees dotted the earth like stars had fallen and stayed. He wept and wrote, "The sky has come home." The stars no longer sit above us. They grow beneath our feet. They still tell her story of the girl with no family who loved the sky, of the seed that found her, of the tree that changed everything, of a child who became a guardian, a myth, a song. Mala never asked to be remembered. She only wanted the world to grow. And so it did. From the dust of sorrow, she planted stars and made the night beautiful again. As we've seen in Mala's journey, even in the darkest of times, hope and belief can spark a transformation that changes the world. Just like the tree that grew from a single seed, your belief in something greater can lead to incredible growth and strength. If you believe in the power of hope, connection, and transformation, don't forget to subscribe. Join us for more stories that remind us all of the incredible power we hold within ourselves. Hit the bell so you never miss an update. And let's continue to grow together.